Let's say we want a list of files in our directory, but we don't want them in this format. We want them in this format. So each file separated by a semicolon. This should be a simple task with PowerShell. Let's give it a go. So we've got the dir or the GCI or whatever you call it command to list files, and let's pipe that into a GM and see what sort of objects are coming out. We get this long list here, and we'll see that we're getting file info, but we're also getting directory info. So there's two different objects popping out here, and that's because we may have subfolders. So let's remedy that and get one type of object coming out. So it's dir minus file, and now we're only getting the files, no subfolders. Again, if we pipe that into GM, we'll see we're only getting one type of file, one type of object. It's the file info. Now the property we're interested in is called name. So we could use full name, but we're interested in name, this property here. And the way in PowerShell to only select a single property is to say select, and then you can do just the name of the property. So now we're only getting the file name. So we're getting there. In PowerShell there is a join operator. So we'll have to bracket this entire thing. So we've captured it off as an expression. And now we join. And this should work. We would expect this to work. It doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, I've just spent some time playing around with it and I finally figured out why. The problem is that this here is spitting out a set of objects. These are actually objects, as we saw from the GM thing. And each of these objects has only the property name. Now we can see here there is a toString method on each of these objects. So we would expect that to produce, let's loop through all these objects and look at each object individually and say toString. We would expect the toString method to work, but as we can see it doesn't. So what I hypothesize has happened is that the toString method doesn't work without all the other properties that it needs. So because we've only got the name property, the toString method doesn't work, and that results in empty objects being returned on the pipeline. At least the join is not, the join is calling toString and getting empty values, and that's why that's happening. So the fix here is to do the following. In fact, the bug is right here, the bug, if you want to call it that. We don't want to select the property name. That's not what we want to do. We want to expand the property name. What that does is, instead of returning an object with a single property name, it actually returns the value of the name property of each object. It looks the same to the naked eye, but if we look at GM again, we'll see that we're actually getting a string back. So it's taken the name property out of each file info object and spat out a string on the pipeline. And now it's happy days to go into join with this. And now we got what we want. Now you can shorten this somewhat. Still works. That's how you do it with PowerShell. Quirks and all. I hope this was helpful.